I got the cash in the bag. To episode 2 of how I did 1.9 million issue paid on my own pen, my first year in life insurance. All right, let's get after it. All right, we're going to talk through 3 different points today. We're going to talk to role play, so how I really was able to increase my skills in the beginning. We're going to talk through leads, what leads I was able to buy. And then number 3, we're going to walk through recruiting. Okay, so we're going to walk through those 3 pieces of how those were integral parts. Now we're still walking through the beginning. I'm going to kind of increase you guys on the journey or educate you guys on my journey as I continue throughout. So right now we're really like end of June, still July. I went over last podcast on how I did that, what I started with, what my game plan was, if you will. And now we're going to roll out in the nitty gritty. So let's get going. All right, let's first start with the role play. So what I would do is I had a notebook. I had a piece of paper where I would track dials, contacts, and appointments. So the leads that I was working, we had specific numbers where I could track how good I was doing based off the numbers I was performing at daily. Okay, so just like if you're a basketball player, you shoot shots, you need to know on the shooting machine what your percentage is from obviously each spot's 5 spots on the floor. So that way you know where your hot spots are. Okay, kind of the same thing in insurance. Okay, so I wrote down on the piece of paper all the objections I was getting during the day. And then what I would do is I would get with my mentor, and what we would do is at the end of the day, and we'd conquer those objections one by one by one. Okay, so we'd first start off with what was most important, which was booking the appointment. Okay, so as a side note, it'll be listed up here. It's so important to book appointments. I didn't know this in the beginning when I first started, but if you do not understand how to book an appointment, how in the world are you going to be able to sit down and graduate to where you're not selling final expense or mortgage protection for the rest of your life? There is no way in the world that you're going to be able to book an appointment with a $1 million annuity or a $2 million annuity or a high-level financial client if you don't understand how to not only value your time, but second of all, be able to book an appointment. And if you can't book an appointment and they're not showing up, that's a major problem, which we're going to go over in episode 3. All right, so at that point, what's going to happen is this. So I wrote down every single objection. Let's say I was getting to the top 3, which I'm going to teach you guys how to handle, which is I'm not interested. Let's say it was too expensive. Let's say I don't remember filling it out. Perfect. Let's go over those 3. Boom. So what I did is I went over those 3, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. So here's the difference. I think a lot of you practice role play. Like some of you are hard workers out there, but the difference is you're not trying to perfect it right then and right there. So my job that evening was to perfect everything, and then the next day be able to go out there and play a game the next day and then have it perfected. So this is what it would look like. Okay, so let's say I'm not interested. My rebuttal for that is this. Was it too expensive or what ended up happening? Okay, so boom, that's the rebuttal, but I had to practice my tone, and then I also had to practice the words. Okay, so I practiced the tone, practice the words, but if my mentor said, hey, I didn't like your tone there, boom, we're going to go back over it again. And we'd go over it probably 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, each and every single rebuttal until it was perfect that night. A lot of people I'll give the rebuttal to, then they want to practice on their own. Then it takes them multiple weeks to try to get it perfect because it takes too long on your own, right? You need to have someone like listening to you. So there's that difference. So there's number 1. So what we would do is every single night for probably a month and a half to 2 months, after the day, I'd write down every single one of my objections. We'd get together at that time, and then we'd perfect role playing and perfect our objection handling. And then that allowed me then to do my very first month, 51,000 in AP, roughly 47,000 that was issued within the first month. Okay, that's a major key point. Okay, so there's role play. So if you're not doing that in role play, I would suggest start doing that to enhance your skills, perfect the correct rebuttals. And a major point to remember, and we'll put it up here, is you're selling the result of the product, not the product itself. Okay, so when you're talking to a client on the phone, if you immediately go into, hey, well, the prices are going to go up, or we don't know if you can qualify, or we don't know if you can get pre-approved, all that stuff, you're just sending the client down the drain. Right? The client has to be able to realize from an emotion standpoint on, hey, I'm going to book a meeting with you because you helped me realize my specific state, and that helped me understand what to then do moving forward. Okay? Role play, number one. Number two, leads. Okay, so what leads am I buying? That's probably one of the number one questions I get asked. I started out with mailers. Okay, so there's a specific vendor that we have within our IMO that is phenomenal. Essentially, what we're doing is, hey, I give them a call, they answer, I book an appointment. I usually book out of 30 leads. I'll book around 15 to 20 appointments. From there, I'll do anywhere between 15 to 25K AP. Some weeks I need a little bit more, some weeks I need a little bit less, and those things obviously ebb and flow a little bit. Okay, so we'll start with mailers. Mailers are very important as this. This is a difference between mailers and digital. Okay, digital leads, you're always going to get the clientele that's clicking around on everything. Okay, when they're clicking around on everything in the world, what's going to end up happening is, let's say if a client clicks on a digital ad. Okay, the client clicks on a digital ad. Now, if a client understands how to click on a digital ad, they also understand how to click on multiple different digital ads. So when they click on a digital ad, how many people do you think are going to be calling them every single day? A lot. Okay, now with the mailer, sure, they can receive several forms over to their home. Some might only do one, some might only fill out one. Okay, that person knows exactly, who's calling you. They're going to be expecting a call. Okay, but it's people that filled it out by hand that usually aren't being blown up on their phone. Okay, so a digital ad is going to be completely different from a mailer. Personally, a mailer, they're going to respond a lot quicker. They're going to be ready to buy. They've already convinced themselves that they need to buy, okay, and they're just waiting for someone to call. Versus digital, they've clicked around on probably 15, 20, 30 different things, and they're probably annoyed at that point with all the people that are giving them a call, and they probably don't remember filling it out because they filled out multiple things. Okay, mailers will help you value your time, but digital is similar to a final expense lead. You're just going to be clicking, you're just going to be calling all day. It's going to be very difficult to get them on the phone, and it's going to be much more difficult to close them. Okay, booking an appointment will be that much harder as well. So there's the difference between mailers and digital. We're going to talk about how I got into like infinite banking and IULs and annuities down the line. But what I was doing, I was writing roughly 40 apps in a week. I was doing anywhere between 25 to 35 to 50K in a week on AP, and I was issuing anywhere between 150 to 180,000 in a month. Simply just by mailers and getting the proper amount and doing the same thing over and over again. I would get the same leads every single week, same investment, and do the same activity. So mailers, A+ lead, in my opinion, best lead in the industry. If you can get mailers, awesome for you. Make sure though, they are the correct mailers. There's a lot of mailers out there that in my opinion aren't as high quality. So you need to make sure you find the right vendor that's ultimately going to help you find the best mailers. Okay? Number 3, which is the last one, recruiting. I hear a lot of negatives in the insurance industry inside of this. Okay? But for me personally, I highly recommend recruiting day one. The major thing that most insurance agents struggle with is money. Okay? So I understood in the beginning that in order to bring 2 streams of income in, number one, what I had to do was I had to obviously understand how to write business very fast. And then number 2, I had to understand how to bring insurance agents in so that way I can start building my team. I got into this industry because at my IMO, we have ownership of our agency. So what that means is I can take my agency and then I can build it and then I can pass it down to my daughter or my family if God forbid something did happen to me. And that's complete ownership. No one can touch it. I own my own book of business. I own all those things, which is great. So as soon as I understood that, then what I wanted to do is I needed to start recruiting right away, but I knew I had to start learning how to produce right away. Okay, but I understood that any business, if you have multiple streams of income, that's obviously a better business move versus having one stream of income, obviously when you first start. Okay, so I knew that, hey, if I can have 2 streams of income, that's going to help me expedite my process to what my overall goal was. Okay, so what I did is I took my phone to recruit. No one ever taught me how to recruit. So I just kind of started like building certain different things. I went onto my social media and I went down through Instagram and then I went through my text messages and I had 3,000 contacts in my text messages. And then I had all these, different avenues of where I saw people, Facebook, you name it. And then I started going through at night, not during the day, but at night from 8 to 8 p.m. I would dial And then at night after I got done role playing, I would go through Instagram, Facebook, all those things, and message every single person in my phone a specific message, okay, that talked about, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, here's a video. Take a look at it. If you're interested, shoot me up back over a text, okay? We'd usually get around, after 100 texts, we'd usually get about 10 to 15 texts back, schedule an interview with those 10 to 15 people, and then usually 3 or 4 then get through licensing, and then I'd end up bringing 3 or 4 on. So by the end of the year, I had about 20 to 25 to 30 people just by doing that I've recruited. So remember, I started in June. July was kind of getting going, and then from there, it took people a little bit while to get through pre-licensing. So now we're at like 30, 35 people around the end of the year. Hit agency owner status within our IMO within December. And then now we built a big agency at December of obviously last year. Okay. So that's how we got there. So that's how, if you need to know how to start recruiting without investing any money into ads, or obviously you don't really know how to post content, obviously you don't really understand the game, no one's really teaching you, that's the easiest way to jump into recruiting if you're brand new, or even if you've never started that before, to help you find some people that can come alongside you in this business. Now, there's a lot of templates that you can say to kind of help bring people in. There's a lot of ways to assist people in that and to help them kind of figure out their real situation to then find a better situation. So there's that. We're going to talk about that in a later episode. But those are the 3 areas that I really focus on to assist me with getting to that next level in insurance. Now, let's touch one last thing as a disclaimer. I want to go back to point number 2, okay? Leads, okay? What should be your investment, okay? Typically what I've found to be able to do consistently, I've done 20K consistently over the past 51 out of 53 weeks. The only 2 weeks I didn't do it was just because we had conferences those weeks, but 51 out of 53 weeks, consistently do it. A sweet spot is anywhere between 3 to 4 grand in a week in leads, okay? And I only work 4 days in a week, okay? Only 4 days. Now, if I work 6 days in a week, you might be able to spend a little bit less, but you're just going to be dialing all day and have no life. I like to have a little bit of a life, okay? So anywhere between 3 to 4 grand a week in leads. If you can do that and you find the right vendor, it's going to help you succeed mightily in the insurance game because you're consistent with leads, doing the same thing over and over again, okay? So there's tips on the second episode of how I did 1.9 million in insurance my first year in life insurance. That's how I started. That's how I'm still doing it. That's how I'm teaching my team to do it. My team this month, we're going to issue pay around 350, 400K in a month. Our goal this year is 10 million. So we're looking for the right people. We're looking for the people that are ultimately going to want to change the game, change the industry, change the world. We're trying to be life changers, not money changers. And if you guys want to follow me outside of YouTube, it's at The Insurance Athlete on TikTok and Instagram. I'm working on content that's ultimately going to change, again, the industry, change people's lives, and change the future of the industry and what it's going to. So click the link in my bio if you want to book a time with me on either of those sites. And outside of that, be the best. Get after it. Take care.